You know how people always say, you can't choose your family. WELL. I wish I could have. If I had a chance to go back and erase certain people from my bloodline, I'd do it without blinking. My name's Lauren. I'm 37. I teach sociology at a mid-sized college in Pennsylvania. I'm not one of those cool professors you see on TikTok. I drink too much coffee, wear way too much black, and I absolutely do not tolerate late assignments. On the surface, my life looks normal. I grade papers, answer emails, do laundry on Sundays. But underneath all that, there's a fire. And that fire has a name, Evelyn. My cousin. She used to be my best friend. We were like sisters growing up, shared secrets, swapped Halloween costumes, even got matching tattoos on our 18th birthday. But that was before she destroyed my family. It happened 6 years ago. My dad had just been diagnosed with liver cancer, and everything was upside down. I moved back home for a while to help out. Evelyn, being the golden child, swooped in to help with the estate. That's what she called it, like we were preparing for some damn business transition. But what she really did, she manipulated my dad, got him to sign papers when he was weak and confused, changed the will, moved money around, sold our lake house, one my mom grew up in without telling anyone, and when he passed away, she made sure I got nothing, not a dime, not a photograph, not even the watch he promised me when I was 15. She smiled at his funeral like it was some networking event. I remember standing there, shaking hands, hugging people I barely knew, while she gave her little eulogy like she was accepting an award. I didn't say anything back then. I was too stunned, too broken, but I remembered, and I started planning. At first, it was just a fantasy. You know, the kind you play in your head when you can't sleep, imagining what you'd say, how you'd make her pay. But the more I thought about it, the more real it became. And eventually, I made a decision. She wasn't going to get away with it. So yeah, for a long time, I didn't do anything. I got back to my routine, lectures, grading, sleeping in my office when I couldn't face my empty apartment. But the anger, it never went away. It just sat there, quiet, like a loaded gun in the back of a drawer. A year after my dad died, I ran into Evelyn at a family cookout. My aunt insisted I come. It's time to heal, she said. Heal? From what? Getting stabbed in the back. But I went. I wanted to see her face. Evelyn was exactly the same, perfectly dressed, charming, making everyone laugh, like none of it ever happened. She hugged me like we were still close, like she hadn't gutted me emotionally, and walked away with my entire inheritance. And when she smiled, I realized something. She thought I was weak. She thought I moved on. That was her first mistake. I didn't say much that day, just watched her, listened, picked up little details. She'd started her own event planning business, Evelyn Grace Designs, she said, like she was launching the next Martha Stewart empire. Weddings, corporate parties, influencer brunches, the cast floral arrangements, and Pinterest boards for people who wanted to feel rich. It was all so fake, just like her, but it gave me an idea. I started doing my homework, quietly, casually, created a burner email, set up a fake name, Holloway, reached out pretending I was planning a charity gala in DC, needed full service, wanted someone with vision. She ate it up. Of course she did. Evelyn can't resist being admired. We exchanged a few emails, then a call. I even threw in a fake LinkedIn profile with some soft focus headshots I found on a stock photo site. She bought it all. And just like that, the door was open. I wasn't sure how far I'd go. Not yet, but I knew this. She was going to regret ever crossing me. The funny thing about revenge is, it doesn't feel the way you expect it to. It's not fire, not really. It's ice. Slow, patient, quiet. Every move I made after that first call with Evelyn was calculated. I didn't rush. That's what she would have expected. I waited, watched, created a perfect little illusion. As Claire Holloway, I built a whole backstory, a fake charity called Women Forward, dedicated to helping single mothers access higher education. I knew Evelyn would love that angle. Meets Power Brunch. I even made a website, cheap template, professional-looking stock images, a few buzzwords about empowerment, the kind of crap Evelyn would eat up. She didn't just take the bait. She swallowed the hook, the line, the goddamn boat. We met for lunch in Georgetown. I wore a beige pantsuit I borrowed from a colleague and a wig that made me look like I belonged on the board of a nonprofit. Evelyn didn't recognize me, not even a flicker of suspicion. Claire, it's such a pleasure to finally meet you in person, she said, smiling like we were best friends already. I smiled back, pretending to be flattered. I've heard such amazing things about your work, Evelyn. Your events have such a clean, modern aesthetic. Very elevated. She lit up at that word, elevated. Jesus. It was like feeding caviar to a raccoon. Over the next 6 weeks, we built the event together, or at least she thought we did. Truth is, I never booked the venue. The vendors, fake. The invite list, total fiction. I even sent her emails from a pretend assistant named Marla. Sometimes I made Marla screw things up just to see how Evelyn would react. It was like playing God. But the sweetest part, she told me everything. During one of our wine-fueled planning meetings, she insisted we meet at her favorite rooftop bar in Arlington. She let her guard down. My family was always kind of jealous of me, she said, sipping a $19 cocktail, especially Lauren. Poor thing, she never really bloomed. I swear to God, I almost laughed. I mean, I know it looked bad when the will stuff happened, she went on, casually flipping her hair, but honestly, I was just protecting the estate. Uncle Mike wasn't in his right mind, and Lauren, she's well, you know, emotional. She smiled, like she was the hero in her own story. I kept my face neutral. Claire Holloway didn't know Lauren Taylor. Claire was just some charity girl with a checkbook and a dream. But inside, I was already digging her grave. I started slipping in little jabs. Do you ever worry someone might twist things, like ... accuse you of mismanaging funds or something? She laughed. Let them try. My books are clean. Everything's documented. Of course, I said. It's just, sometimes people come back, years later, with lawyers. She looked up sharply, just for a second. Has someone said something to you? She asked, voice tight. No, I smiled, waving it off. Just something I read on a forum about event planners getting sued. You know how Reddit is. I could tell it rattled her. She downed the rest of her drink and changed the subject. That was the first real crack. A week later, I sent an anonymous tip to the IRS. Told them I had reason to believe Evelyn Grace Designs had been laundering money through fake charities. Attached a few sample invoices I'd created in Photoshop. Included a spreadsheet that looked just messy enough to be suspicious. They opened an inquiry. Of course, she had no idea where it came from. And right as that chaos started brewing, I scheduled a soft launch gala for the fake charity. Evelyn was thrilled. She saw it as her chance to network with DC elites. I had other plans. The night of the gala, she showed up at the fake venue, an old art gallery I had rented out under a fake name. She was wearing a gold silk dress and carrying a clipboard like a queen, ready to conquer her court. Except the gallery was dark. Locked. No music, no guests, no caterers, just a printed sign on the door that said, Evelyn Grace, you took everything. Now watch it all burn. She stood there frozen, trying to process what the hell was happening. And that's when her phone started ringing. Her assistant, her lawyer, then her bank. The IRS freeze had gone through. By the time she realized what was happening, she was already drowning. I stood across the street in a hoodie, sipping a gas station coffee, watching her entire world collapse. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was just cold. And for the first time in 6 years, I felt warm again. People think revenge is this explosive, dramatic thing, screaming, crying, slamming doors, but that's not how it is. It's paperwork, silence, long pauses on the other end of the phone. It's the sound of someone realizing they're not in control anymore. After the fake gala, Evelyn spiraled. I watched from a distance as everything started to unravel. She posted a carefully worded statement on Instagram. Unexpected venue issues. Deeply regretful, grateful for understanding. Classic Evelyn. All surface. No substance. But behind the scenes, her accounts were frozen. The IRS was knocking. Her business partners were panicking. Her assistant quit. Clients started pulling out. She sent Claire 3 emails. The first one was apologetic. The second one was panicked. The third one was angry. I didn't respond to any of them. A few days later, I got a text from my Aunt Carol. Have you talked to Evelyn? Something's going on. I wanted to say, yeah, justice is going on. But instead, I just typed, haven't spoken in months. Hope she's okay. That was the thing. Nobody knew. It was me. Lauren Taylor, the quiet cousin, the grieving daughter, the one who never really bloomed, was invisible. And that made me powerful. But here's the thing they don't tell you about power. It's lonely. I wasn't expecting that part. I'd imagined feeling victorious, satisfied. like I'd closed a chapter. But what I felt instead was hollow. I found myself going through old photos one night. Me and Evelyn at the lake house, on the dock with our feet in the water, matching sunburn, laughing at something dumb, that we used to be inseparable, and then she saw an opportunity, and I became disposable. I closed the album. This wasn't about nostalgia. This was about consequences. I reminded myself of that every time doubt crept in. Then, about 3 weeks after the fake gala, I got an email at my real address. It was from Evelyn. Not to Claire. To me, Lauren, I know it was you. I don't know how, or why, but I know. Congratulations, you win. Just know that I loved him too. That last sentence hit like a sucker punch. I sat there staring at the screen for a long time. I didn't reply. What was I supposed to say? Loved him. You stole from him. You erased me from his memory while he was still breathing. Maybe she thought she loved him. But love doesn't look like that. Love doesn't come with a price tag and a signature. Still, something about that message stuck with me. The next morning, I drove to the lake house, the one she sold. Or thought she did. See, here's something I left out. Before my dad died, he told me about a side deed, a quiet little transfer of ownership he filed years earlier, when he was still sharp. He didn't trust lawyers, said too many hands in one pot made the soup bitter. He gave it to me in a sealed envelope. Don't open this until you really need to, he said. I opened it 2 weeks after the funeral. The lake house. It still legally belonged to me. Evelyn had forged documents, moved fast, found a buyer who didn't check the paperwork closely, but now, that buyer was suing her. The whole deal was collapsing. And me, I stood on the back porch of my childhood summers, looking out at the water, breathing in pine and memory, and something that felt a little like peace. Not forgiveness, not closure, but something close. Asterisk, you'd think after all that, I'd feel light, like I'd been carrying a weight for years, and finally I'd dropped it. But it wasn't like that, not at first. What I felt was quiet, still, like I'd screamed for so long. And now there was just this aching silence. Evelyn was finished. Her business, her reputation, her little empire of curated lies, it all crumbled in less than 2 months. She didn't even fight it that hard. I think deep down, she always knew it would catch up to her. Maybe not from me, but from someone. She moved out of her condo, deleted her socials, went back to Ohio to live with her mom. I heard it from my cousin Chelsea. She said Evelyn looked thinner. Said she wasn't really talking to anyone. Maybe she's depressed, Chelsea whispered. Like Evelyn was still royalty and we were just gossiping peasants. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and changed the subject. But that night, I lay awake for hours. Was she broken, or just regrouping? Was she sorry, or just sorry she got caught? And more importantly, why did I still care? That's the thing no one prepares you for. Revenge feels like control, until it's over. And then what? You're left standing in the ruins with no enemy left to blame, just your own reflection. And you realize, all this time, you weren't fighting them, you were fighting the version of yourself they convinced you to become. I needed to find the version before the betrayal, before the bitterness, before the silence. So I went back to the lake house. Not as a visitor, not as a memory keeper, as its owner. The deed was mine. My father made sure of that, in his quiet, paranoid way. And standing there, looking out over the still water, I realized I'd been angry for so long, I forgot what peace even felt like. I stayed. I didn't mean to, at first. I just kept pushing back my return to the city, week by week. Then month by month, I painted, cleaned, took down Evelyn's stupid farmhouse decor and replaced it with the mismatched old furniture from my childhood. I found the stack of my dad's old notebooks in the attic. His handwriting was messy, but I could hear his voice in every word. I cried over those pages, not out of grief, out of guilt, because I'd spent so long being consumed by what Evelyn did. I stopped appreciating what my dad left. He didn't just give me the house, he gave me truth. He trusted me, saw me, loved me in a way Evelyn could never understand, and I almost let her erase that, but not anymore. Now, I teach from the lake house, Zoom classes, guest lectures, grading papers with my feet up on the dock. I write again, too. I'm working on a collection of essays about grief, anger, inheritance, sisterhood. I don't know if they'll ever leave my laptop, but it feels good to write for no one but myself. I also started swimming again, early mornings, just after sunrise, cold water, sharp air, breath and heartbeat and motion. It reminds me that I'm still alive, not surviving, living. I don't think I'll ever forgive Evelyn, but I'm done letting her name echo in every hallway of my mind. That's the real victory. Not destroying her, reclaiming me, because here's the truth. I finally understand. Revenge ends, but life doesn't. There's always something after the fire, and it's quieter, sure, but it's also more honest. This is where I start again. Not as the girl who lost everything, but as the woman who took